Hey friends, it's Robert. Today on World Crafted, we're headed to Finland for New Year's Eve. Join me as we examine a Finnish fortune-telling tradition, recreate it using an unexpected material, and then DIY a lovely custom candle for your home. Like many countries around the globe, Finland rings in the new year with festive parties and fireworks, but with the added activity of fortune-telling. It's customary to receive a small piece of tin cast in the shape of a horseshoe, a traditional symbol of good luck. Placed in a ladle, the horseshoe is melted over a flame of a candle and then poured into a bucket of cold water. The molten tin instantly becomes solid again, and the resulting random shape is interpreted to predict the person's future health, wealth, or happiness. Tin melting kits for New Year's Eve are easy to come by in Finland, but not so much where I live in the US. I want to show you how to create an alternate version of this fortune-telling activity using wax. One of the aspects I love so much about this tradition is the adorable miniature horseshoes. I did an online search and was pleasantly surprised to find plastic miniature horseshoe molds intended for chocolate making, but perfect for casting wax. For stability, place your clean mold on a baking sheet and set aside while you melt your wax. I'm using all-natural soy wax flakes, and to melt them, I'm creating a makeshift double boiler. This is an easy thing to do and a gentle way to melt the wax. Fill a saucepan with about 1 inch of water and place on the stove over a medium-low flame. Measure a scant cup of the flakes into a pouring pitcher and set into the saucepan. Keep a constant eye on the wax until it's completely melted. The nice thing about using a wax pouring pitcher is that the handle remains cool to the touch, but you can easily substitute a clean tin can. Just be certain to use a potholder when removing it from the heat. Allow the melted wax to cool slightly and then carefully pour it into the molds, filling each compartment all the way to the top. Let your wax horseshoes sit undisturbed until they've completely cooled and solidified. At this point, you can invert the mold and gently press on the back to release them. Now to try your hand at fortune telling, gather together a container of cold water, a lit candle, and a deep metal spoon. Place one of the wax horseshoes into the spoon and hold it over the candle's flame until it melts completely. Now, in deference to our Finnish friends, I do have to say that this wax version of your custom is a little messier than tin melting. And, if I'm being quite honest, I have to say that it ends up somewhat resembling egg drop soup. But I've found that if you stir the water just prior to quickly pouring in the wax, you will end up with some larger solidified pieces. Fish out those larger pieces and set them aside for examination. The resulting shapes can either be directly interpreted, or they can be rotated in candlelight to create shadows, whose shapes are then interpreted. I think half the fun is trying to determine what the various shapes resemble. Depending on how much wax separates, you may need to change the water before pouring in another melted horseshoe. Now, one of the redeeming qualities of using wax is that it can be easily recycled. Once your fortune-telling fun is finished, allow the various wax shapes to sit and air dry completely. We're then going to transform them into something bright for your new year, a beautiful, simple melt and pour candle. I found that my local craft supply store sold ready-made clear glass candle jars with a wick already adhered to the inside bottom of the container. Alternately, you can purchase these materials separately. Wrap the end of the wick around a bamboo skewer set across the opening of the container and secure it with a clothespin. This will keep the wick stationary and prevent it from shifting when you pour in the melted wax. Next, return to your double boiler. Add the recycled wax pieces to your pouring pot, along with enough additional wax to fill your candle container. Again, gently melt your wax over a medium-low heat, and then remove it from the stove. Allow the wax to cool slightly, and then add your choice of fragrance oil. Stir thoroughly to incorporate, and then pour slowly into your prepared candle container. Let the candle cool overnight, and then trim the wick down to about 1/4 inch before lighting. I do hope that you'll give this simple DIY project a try, and that your new year is filled with great health, happiness, and good fortune. Thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't done so already, I want to encourage you to subscribe to Kin Community and join me next time for another world-inspired DIY.